Okay, this is actually Joe Collins finally. And we're standing right outside his exhibit. As I said in the two reviews, you know me well enough, I've reviewed a lot of art exhibits and galleries, including photography. And you just literally redefine the street photography and in the moment. And you completely redefine the concept, especially with the black and white. Now, I decided to do this interview differently, and Joe agreed to it. What better way to interview a street photographer than walking the street here in Allentown?
This is my studio. This is where I work out on the street, whether it's in Allentown or Philadelphia or.
You actually been there. You have some photos in there from around the world, correct?
Yes.
Even in different countries.
Yeah, I've been. There's work up there from Paris, Lisbon, Portugal. Couple from London.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there's New York City, Philadelphia, Allentown.
Okay. Now, how did you originally get? We'll start at the beginning and jump around because I like to keep people off guard.
Okay.
How did you originally start in photography? I mean, obviously it was probably back in the days of the film, which the younger generations don't even know what that is anymore.
Absolutely. Well, it really started when I was a kid. When I was like 10 years old. My dad always liked to have cameras, for family photography.
Right.
So when I was about 10 years old, he brought this new camera home, this new Canon camera. And
making sure we don't end up in the hospital or a cemetery right now.
So he said to us, I don't want anybody touching this camera when I'm not around.
Right.
Well, I was the kind of 10-year-old kid that meant that I had to go over and touch it when he wasn't around.
Yep, so you told you not to do something? So okay, why am I told not to do this?
Right, so I had to go do it. So I used to play around with the camera. I figured out like when it didn't have film in it, and then I could play with it because then I wouldn't get in trouble because you wouldn't notice. And that's where the bug started for me. I was just, that's when I started framing the world and composing the world around me. And for a long time I was shooting on imaginary film, and then eventually I got old enough where I was allowed to use his camera to shoot with film. Then I bought my own camera and I shot on film for a long. I didn't buy my first digital camera until I was in my probably mid to late 20s.
Okay, and that was probably back in the days when the 4 and 6 megapixel were like, oh, that's more. It'll never get any higher than this.
Right, yeah. That was the 4 and 6 megapixels and 25 megabyte hard drives, 2600 baud modems. Yep. The good old days.
CompuServe versus AOL.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
But I always shot pretty much the world that's around me. Never really considered that I was going to do anything with my photography, but it was a love of mine that since I was about 10 years old, I've pretty much always had a camera in my hand at one time or another.
So doing the in the moment or street photography, that just came naturally to you. You didn't actually kind of make an intelligent decision. It was just like that was just like the way it was from the start with you.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah, it just gravitated to that. And I've shot all kinds of, landscape work and, wildlife and things like that. But it's being out, on the street, being out where all the stories of humanity are walking around. That's my jam. That's where I feel at home the most.
Okay. And again, try not to end up in a hospital.
Yep.
I joke around, you gotta admit that'd be a cool effect on the video, but
yeah.
So now, did you always shoot black and white, or was that kind of like, or was it kind of like you've done black and white color and then decided you prefer the black and white?
Well, when I started shooting with my own camera, I shot color film because I really didn't know any better, and then just talking to some camera shops and just doing a little reading here and there about black and white photography. And I love black and white movies, for my entire life, so I thought I would give that a try. And then once I started to see what was coming out on black and white film, then I knew that that was definitely the place for me.
Okay, now to me, people may disagree with me on this, they may not, but to me, the black and white is the true artistic form of photography. Do you feel that way? Or?
Yeah, in my opinion it is. And I think that for me personally, the reason why is because black and white photography strips away all the color, it strips away any distractions.
I'll tell you what, would you mind going in front of the camera? This is a great place to put you in front of the camera for a change. Sure. Kind of like a little bit of, you know, the New York City, Philadelphia feel to it.
So, yeah, so black and white strips away distractions. And it just, so all you're left with is the story, the environment, the person that's in the environment, and the story that's going on with them or around them. And it hones in on it more, in my opinion. You know, okay. It really is much more. It's much more of a storytelling.
And it leaves more to people's imagination. It almost like forces them to use the imagination and question what's in the photograph.
Right, and I think it catches people's eyes because people aren't used to seeing black and white photography anymore. Just like we're not used to seeing black and white movies anymore.
Yeah.
So on the rare occasion when some very artistic director comes out with a black and white movie, it's like big headlines and stuff.
Yeah.
And since everybody's walking around with a camera in their hands, and their camera's only shooting color, or realize that's all they wanted to shoot in.
Yeah.
When they see black and white photography, it's like stunning to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the medium for me. So I'm interested in people and the stories of people that are happening all around us that we see. So if I'm trying to tell stories with my photographer, or catch stories with my photography, and the audience is caught by the picture because it's in black and white, then they're getting my vision of what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
And they're circling in on it.
Right.
And then, you know, the question always comes up, well, you know, why don't you shoot in color? Why don't you shoot? And when I start to explain it to people, then you can see that they're really starting to get the story that's going on in the photograph, even if it isn't the real story. Mm-hmm. But they're seeing it as a storytelling genre, or however you would medium, more so than just a photograph.
Yeah, well, this is my third time seeing your exhibit from the grand opening of it. In that one photo, that I finally caught the joke. I'm not telling anybody which one, but if you look, it's towards the front of the gallery. If you stop in, you have to look at it and just stop and think about what's the different things that are in the photo, and you'll get the true humor of it.
And when I processed that shot, I saw that, and until today, I haven't had anybody tell me that they got that.
Okay.
Like, I put that there, I didn't say anything to anybody about it. That's how I composed that shot. And you finally got it, and you're the first one.
Okay. Now, I was born in '71, so my first camera was the old 110s with the flash cubes that always pop so nicely.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I swore I would never evolve to digital. Several years ago I did, and love it. You know, I love it. My favorite part about digital is you get to see the photo right away, so that you can, you know. But do you think that, you know, years ago, if you want to be an actual true professional photographer with the film, you actually had to go to school for that, or at least do a lot of reading, versus today it's like, okay, well, the photo didn't turn out right, I'm going to run it through photo editing 6 times, you know.
Right. And
there's actually a 2-part question. Number one, do you feel that with the digital photography, even though it's added certain aspects to photography, do you think that the true sense of photography and true photos have lost something there? And number two, in today's world, it's like, and please don't take offenses, but hey, I take photos. Well, who doesn't? You know what I mean? It's like, do you feel that, like, they're like, I've even seen this in the media, where they run it through the filters and everything, and they go from like capturing the moment to creating.
Right.
Do you think that there's an actual true art, other than like the black and white, the true artistic form of photography versus the photojournalism? Are the lines getting blurred there?
The lines are only getting blurred if the photographer doesn't care that much.
Okay.
The question about does digital photography take away from real photography? As much as I love a film camera, I love the mirror flap noise of it. I love, to hear the shutter go.
Right.
I love the feel of all that mechanism happening in my hand. And my digital camera has a shutter and has the mirror flapping up and down and all those things. So it's close to the same experience, but there's something very, sort of warm about,
almost intimate
the
about
old film cameras.
Right.
And that's why I have 3 of them. But as far as the blurred lines between the processing and everything, I think one of the things that bothers me about photography these days, like we always talk about, everybody's a photographer these days.
Right.
And you go to art museums, I go to art museums all the time. People always have their cameras, and what they do is they stand in front of a picture and they take a picture, and then they go down the line and they take pictures.
Yeah.
Well, those people, they're not photographers per se, they're collectors.
Mm-hmm.
What they're doing is they're collecting their experience. They're not actually living their experience. And then when they get home, they put it on the computer and they send it out to their friends. Look where I've been, look what I saw. But they're not spending any time with that picture. Now you could shoot a digital picture with a smartphone, with a professional camera, with a little
Right.
point and shoot camera, and take that picture home and put it on your computer and spend some time with it. Like all of my work now is digital.
Right.
So when I go home, I use Lightroom. I do all my processing in Lightroom, and I will have an image on my screen sometimes for 2 hours that I'm either just staring at or I'm tweaking, the black and white and
Right.
the balancing of it, and deciding if I like it or deciding that I hate it, or But I will spend a great deal of time with one image, and I think that's the difference between somebody that is doing what I'm trying to do as opposed to somebody that just click, click, click. Now, I don't take anything away from those people.
Right.
People want to, that's the experience of their life, and that's what they want to do, and that's great. That's fine. But whether their stuff can hang in a gallery or not, that's for somebody to choose.
So you actually put the work into, getting the photo to the way you want it, but also maintaining the originality of the photo and
Right.
the originality of what was going on.
Right.
So you put in the time to maintain that balance.
Right. I get as close to darkroom processing, like darkroom film processing, as I can physically get now
Okay.
on digital.
All right, let's head back because I picked a bad time with the rain starting. I do apologize for that.
No, that's all right.
At least
That's
it's
fine.
still in the 50s.
It is. And you know what? If you're going to take a camera out and you're going to be a street photographer, you're going to shoot in the rain, you're going to shoot in the snow, you're going to shoot in the sun.
That's whenever I review tech or even clothes, one of the first things I always say is, any tech I get, it has to survive everything.
Sure.
We're going to take a short break just because we're in 2018 and I know people's attention spans. And if you don't mind, we'll probably end this up in your gallery, doing a tour of your gallery, if that's okay.
Sure, that'd be terrific.